feel comfortable posting this stuff on YouTube?
Well, if something's wrong, then I can just delete it. One button, done. Delete. Somebody.
So when I need a loan, I know it's fun too. But he's going to ask me something in return.
Yeah, like an awesome thesis.
Yeah, that's fine. Merchant of Venice. Already on the way.
Get them a slip and then we'll take a sip of the rare old mountain dew. There's an Indian sit at the foot of the hill. Smoke comes up the sky. Where we're from smelling a place. Watching brew nearby.
Okay, that's a good excuse. Okay, so this is just a fun talk, just for fun. Well, I guess it's not just for fun, really, is it? But what are the 3 biggest educational failings of our system? Personal health. We don't have any proper discussion about personal health. Nutrition, mental health, physical health, a little bit of physical health. Not really.
A lot of people manage to avoid different things.
Personal health.
Sport, something that's not
Before
fun.
I still can't keep it.
Career choice. No education about career choice. What are you going to do with your life? So obvious.
Like lots of careers kind of things.
Wouldn't it make sense to have it as a subject though? Like it's a class. Like you take a class and what to do with your life. Your best career choice.
But it's business studies, I guess.
Well, they're careers.
So that's good.
Well, not necessarily.
It should be a class. And of course, the number 3, personal finance.
I would add an extra one.
Okay. Well,
Civic education.
civic education.
Yeah.
What's that?
I mean, in school, you're not told what it means to be, I don't know, British or Italian, or maybe in America it's different, but here, like constitution studies or basic law or rights, things like those. I think those are important. Like, what does it mean to be a citizen?
Basic law, like law 101.
Yeah, just like what are your civic duties? What is expected of you? What are your rights? Like
Okay.
basic
That would be
things
an
that I
interesting
think
one.
everybody should know.
That's an interesting one. I have not thought of that one. So today is personal finance, and everybody knows I read this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad that I really loved it. And I have a friend named Aslam who recommended the book to me, and that is the inspiration behind today's discussion. And of course, Rich Dad Poor Dad has 2 kind of classic caricatures in them: the poor dad mentality and the rich dad mentality. And as I was reading the book, of course you're reading the book thinking, I hope I'm not the poor dad. But yes, I have, generally speaking, the poor dad mentality, generally speaking, with some exceptions. But some of the poor dad mentality sort of characteristics are, concentrate on your career, concentrate on your education. These are the 2 most important things. Don't get distracted from your education, don't get distracted from your career, and so on. And I've had that mentality almost my whole life. I have deviations of that. But I know I have a lot of those characteristics of the poor dad. Another poor dad characteristic is this attitude like, I don't like money. And it's true, like I have that too. I don't actually like money either. I don't like banks, I don't like finances. But on the other hand, it's like either you are hustling or you are hustled. If you don't do something proactive, some action is taken against you, so to speak. It's like either part of the problem, so to speak, of your own problem, or you're part of the solution. So it's almost like you don't have a choice. If, like me, in the poor dad mentality, if your money is just sitting in the bank, it's decreasing in value. Inflation is rising much faster than the worth of your money in the bank. And it has not always been that way. So when I was a student, when I opened my first bank account, that's okay. As a teenager, I opened an account, I believe I was 16 years old, and I learned that my savings account paid 5.5% interest.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, and I thought,
Today.
good
Mine
times.
pays 0.05, I think.
Yeah, good times. Those were good times. That was 100 years ago.
My bank doesn't want me to save.
I believe the name of the bank was called Bay Banks. That was back in Massachusetts. I don't know if they still exist anymore. But that all changed around 2000, if I remember correctly. I think it was around the year 2000, plus or minus 5 years. Interest rates went steadily down until essentially zero. And I hope, fingers crossed, they don't turn into minus. They kind of are when you add in all the fees and stuff. It's like we're getting into minus territory. Anyways, I guess I'll stop rambling about that. But I identified many of my poor dad characteristics. But there was one time in my life where I had a rich dad mentality. A short time in my life. And that was when I was a master's student, beginning of my PhD, but more like in the master's student days. At that time, we had the internet bubble. So every day you would turn on the news in the US, and literally on the front of the news would be like Amazon, news about Amazon, news about eBay, news about AOL, Sun Microsystems, and other tech startups and things like that. It was the internet boom, bubble, whatever you want to call it. And there was no way to avoid it, unless you just never watch TV, which is what I do now. And I think now it's sort of like cryptocurrency is that kind of
Social media as well, you got Facebook stuff.
Yeah, maybe social media. Right now it seems to be like cryptocurrency, everybody's jumping on board. And I was influenced by that, what I was seeing. I was a huge user and fan of Amazon and eBay and another company called Priceline, Sun Microsystems because of Java, and a few other things. I was personally kind of involved because I was using all their services. And I just thought at the time, okay, I have to get in on this a little bit somehow. I just need to, I can't just let this go by and not do anything. I gotta do something. And there's a golden rule from a book called Think and Grow Rich. Anybody ever read that book? I can summarize.
Is that Napoleon Hill?
Napoleon Hill, yep. You can summarize that book in one sentence, like the takeaway, which is no matter what you earn, save 10%, no matter what you earn. And I've always followed that rule even before so even as a student, I was earning, minimum wage or whatever, I still saved 10% of my earnings. So I said, I'll take that tiny amount and invest it in these tech stocks. And I even went through a time where you guys might not be able to imagine this, but I even went through a period of about 1 year with absolutely no health insurance. That can't happen here currently.
Currently.
What about in Turkey? Do you have national health care in Turkey? Yeah? Okay. Since when?
I'm
do you
about to
know?
get kicked out. I mean, it's okay.
I don't know, but it's
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
to-
In the US, there's no national health care, so I was, you know, a year without any insurance, but I still had this mentality, like I have to get in on this, I have to try something. And I had, for a few, maybe a year or two, the rich dad mentality without knowing it. So I looked around, I asked my friends, like, oh, where do you invest? I didn't have friends, many friends that invested, but I did have one, and he said, go to A.G. Edwards. So I went to a local investment firm called A.G. Edwards, and I talked to an actual person, an actual stockbroker, financial advisor person. I still remember her name, Kim Ellison Kerr. I still remember. We only had one conversation. And I went in there and I said, I would like to purchase some shares of Amazon, eBay. I have the list. I have an early statement here, very old early statement from way back then. I bought some shares of Amazon, eBay, Yahoo, and that was probably it for that first day, something like that. And maybe one other.
How many percent is it important? How many percent share you bought?
That's the punchline at the end. I'm going to tell you that. Yeah, that's what this is for. And she said, don't do that. Don't. She said, you're not diversifying. It's high risk. Like, you're doing the wrong strategy. You're like, you need to diversify and lower your risk. And I said, you're right. I should do that, but I am not going to do that. I am going to take high risk. I'm not going to diversify because, one, it's a small amount of money, and two, I'm young. I can handle the risk. And I still have that mentality. That's rich dad mentality, by the way. She said, invest in a tech stock fund. No, that's poor dad mentality. It's better than nothing, though. It's certainly better than nothing. I was like, I understand. I said something like, I appreciate your guidance and I'm thankful for that, but we're going to go with the high risk stuff. It's a small amount of money. My other logic at the time was, I hate money, poor dad mentality. I hate banks, poor dad mentality. I hate finance, poor dad mentality. I'm not interested, poor dad mentality. I had all those. But I had the one thought, rich dad mentality, which was, if I don't invest some of my own money in this business, I will never get interested and never do. So I will put some money in this to force myself to get interested in this and start learning and following and stuff like that. So that was the idea. Back then, the firm was called A.G. Edwards. I took notes. So a lot of time has passed. A.G. Edwards, in the meantime, was purchased by another company called Wachovia Securities around 2008 time period. And Wachovia Securities was again purchased by Wells Fargo, and I don't know when. So I spent some time being very addicted to this game, so to speak, where a few years when I lived in the US, where I would check the prices every day, oh, how's it going, blah, blah, blah. But I never had the idea of shit selling and like trading and all that stuff. My rich man mentality was just buy, rich dad, and forget it. So that's what I did. I just bought, and I was looking, addicted for a few years, but then I moved to Austria and I just forgot about it. I was like, okay, whatever. And then I went back to the poor dad mentality. Focus on your career, focus on your career, focus on your career. That's the best way to go. And so the companies have changed. The stock has changed too. Like, I have stock that I never bought, and I have this old statement, but even this old statement is not entirely correct. Like, according to this old statement, I have 10 shares of AOL. This is from 2002. But I never bought AOL, and I wouldn't think it's a good idea, because AOL was going down at that time. I think what happened is like Yahoo and AOL like got together or something, and because I bought some Yahoo.
And they produced Bastard Love Baby of two failing companies.
And yeah, I guess I did buy some Cisco. I can't even remember. I guess I did buy a few shares of Cisco. Anyways, I guess we'll have a look and we'll see if I can figure it out.
No,
No, it's still
the,
running.
yeah, I don't know what happened after that, because it's still around.
Yahoo Finance is still there.
So the screen is kind of small, actually, isn't it? So this is like an overview, yeah.
Look at those reds.
So yep, there are losses here and there are gains, right? Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
So the big winner is obviously Amazon. So I purchased in 1998 30 shares at 18. That's about $500, I believe. That starts to show a little bit about my age.
I thought you said it was not a lot of money.
It's not.
That's a lot of money to me.
$500?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't say it's very much money. If you follow the Think and Grow Rich rule, where no matter what you earn, you save 10%, that's what I was following back then, without having read the book.
That was one of the.
You don't follow that rule?
What?
The no matter what you earn, save 10%?
Well, you can only do that if you don't owe money.
And don't order
No, that's poor dad mentality. So I beg to differ. That's
How
poor
do you
dad.
save money when you don't have money?
I have debt right now, but I still save 10% of my earnings. If you want to know more about this topic, I encourage you to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
But if that 10% would be paying off your fees, then all you're doing is you're losing money because those fees are going to keep.
That's part of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad mentality. I encourage you to read the book. This is good. I encourage you because you're interested. It shows that you're interested.
That was
Give
only
you my copy.
$500 for one of them. So, and you said you bought 3.
Well, this is so Amazon did well, right? So it's now 50,000. It's turned into $50,000.
Yeah.
That's an extreme.
I mean, obviously,
that's
I'm not
an extreme case.
going to say you made a bad decision. But my main point is that you can't invest when you have no money.
Okay, the poor dad side of me totally agrees with you. But the rich dad side of me says, you're wrong. Like, you can do it. You can do it. Because the logic is, no matter how much you earn or don't earn, you can save 10%. It doesn't matter. If you earn minimum wage, you can always save 10% of your money. You can. That's always, like, at least, okay.
But that's saved money.
Yeah.
If you're saving it, it depends on if you're saving it for something else, or you're saving it to spend on shares. So the
Okay,
money
let's
I have
discuss
saved-
it. Let's discuss it more after this, and then we'll get into like that. So booking holdings. I believe that's booking.com.
Yeah, we checked it.
But I never purchased booking.com.
That was a Priceline.
It was a Priceline
Yeah, we
thing.
checked that too.
Yeah. So I did buy a company called Priceline.com. Very high risk, not very popular in the UK, but popular in the
I
US.
had never heard of it until you mentioned it.
I love that service, and I used it regularly when I lived in the US. It's great for booking flights.
Also, like Skyscanner.
It's similar to Skyscanner. It's not the same, but it's
It's a bit more.
It's
Wonderful.
you name your price.
I see.
You say, I am willing to pay 200 pounds for a flight to Turkey. Are there any airlines that will accept that price?
Yeah.
And go. So that one has done well. So I guess without knowing it, I purchased 8 shares at 12. So what's that, like $100 or something?
Yeah.
And it's now 13,000 or 14,000. That's not that, well, I guess that is a long time ago. AABA?
We checked that one too.
What did we
It
check?
was a company that bought Yahoo. Or,
Was it Yahoo, the company that bought Yahoo?
Yes, I think so.
Because I don't have Yahoo anymore, do I? Yes, it's not there.
No, it was this company that bought it.
So I purchased Yahoo shares, something like, I think I purchased something like 20 shares at $50 a share or something like that. Just, I never paid more than $1,000. It was always $500 to $1,000. And it was over a time span of like 3 years. So it wasn't all, there was some that I did like immediately, like Amazon was first, and I think eBay, and maybe Priceline like right away. So now that's worth, $4,000. PayPal I never purchased. That was a result of eBay. I did purchase 10 shares of eBay. I remember that was one of the more expensive ones. It was like $1,000 or something. But eBay like bought PayPal or something and vice versa, and now they're split again or something, got married and divorced. And so that is now, 3,000 up 600%. I did buy some Starbucks. I thought, okay, just for the fun of it.
This coffee company is going somewhere.
Yeah, it was already very late in the game with Starbucks. Starbucks was already a mega franchise, but I just thought, okay, I've got a bunch of tech stocks. I'll try some traditional, something traditional and safe or whatever. And okay, so 40 times 6, so that's not very much money. That's only about $250. So it's $2,500 or something like that. So it's almost 1,000%. I bought Red Hat way back in the day, $500 of Red Hat. That, in my opinion, is it's a gain. Whether or not it's a good gain over such a long time, I'm not really sure. Anyways, I bought Red Hat because I used it every day at that time, and I was a strong supporter and believer in Linux and the open source and everything, and I thought, wow, the first open source company is going public. I am definitely going to support them. And they were flat for like 10 years. I even lost money for a while, the IPO went up and then they went down, and they were sinking, and a friend of mine, Mark Bokert, I still remember, I said, I bought 10 shares of Red Hats. He said, you better sell them because they're going down. And I said, I know. I said, if I don't want to lose money, I should sell them. But I just said, forget it. That's not my business. Just buy and hold.
It's going to be interesting to see how it evolves in the next couple of years, because now it's IBM, so.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I'm not going to sell any of these.
If in 2 years those have doubled or something, you should call your friend Mark and say, oh, remember when you told me to sell Red Hat? I kept it.
eBay, you would think, and I think eBay has done much better.
Yeah.
You would think that eBay would have done a lot better, and I think it has had a peak that was much, much higher than this.
Yeah.
But somehow it's not done so well.
Well, you also would have to sum it up to PayPal, because you only bought eBay,
That's
now PayPal
correct.
is a good performance.
That's correct. You're right. You have to combine those. You're exactly right. Cisco is another one of those very conservative choices. Big network company. they had already pretty long history in the US. They were already a big cap stock.
They are a massive government contractor, aren't they? Like all the telephones for the military and government department are all Cisco.
Very, very conservative. And I got like $500 worth back in the day. And I would say that's kind of like flat-ish. Given the time span of so long, 20 years, that's pretty flat. Like, okay, I guess, well, I don't know. I'm not, I don't have the financial, expertise to really say, is this good or bad? I'm just always looking at the outstanding performers, and thinking, oh, compared to the outstanding ones, it's not so great. Oracle, I never bought Oracle. I never bought them, and I don't, because I don't like them.
Red Hat and Oracle involved Red Hat and stuff.
No, it's you probably had Sun.
EMC.
You said Sun, didn't you?
I had Sun
Sun
Microsystems.
was bought by Oracle.
Yeah.
One of the most
Yeah.
evil moves in the tech industry.
That's one of the reasons I don't want to invest in a fund. It's because I don't want to invest in those companies. Yeah, so I never bought Oracle. I never would have. But anyway, I ended up with Oracle shares, and they haven't done anything. Like nothing.
Like Java.
Nothing. AT&T.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
I'm very out of this system, but why does the company sell the share?
To raise funding.
Okay, they need money, that's why they sell the share, and if they are rich enough, they just buy it again, right? That's what I know. If you
Yes,
sell
they can.
them,
Yes, yes.
they offer you to take your share, and then they can buy it again. I
So
got it.
the theory, as far as I know, is the company goes public, and that means anyone can own a piece of that company. So they divide up the company in its abstract financial kind of system. And so you can buy a piece of the company, which is a share or
Because
a share of
they
stock.
do it because they need money.
They do it because they want to make money, yes, they want to make money. They don't necessarily need money, but they want to make money.
Well,
They
it's a-
might need money, but they don't always need money.
But it's a whole strategy. Like one of the reasons why we are in a tech bubble right now is because one of the things they do is they take any startup, go through rounds of investment to build it up, and go public, sell it, and then don't matter what happens. Because once you made it public and you made your money back, if you're like a venture capitalist and you invested X in a company, you made it public and your share all of a sudden make you back your money, you lost interest in that company. That was just an investment, it wasn't a thing that you wanted to. It could be a Uber or it could be whatever you haven't heard of because it failed after a week.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the exercise.
Dating is a good one that went public and failed. Huh? Yeah.
And this was the short time in my life when I had the rich man mentality, the rich dad mentality. It was a little bit higher risk, but it wasn't very high risk because I never invested very much money in any particular stock. This is, for you, a poor Welsh kid, it seems like a lot. But really, it's not very much. And yeah, I just thought it would be the other poor dad mentality is don't talk about money. That is a very common attitude. And when I was like, wow, when I read the book and the rich dad mentality is talk about it, I was like, this is so silly. Let's talk about that. That's part of the inspiration.
Money's always been a bit dirty in my family.
How much money you invest and what was your total, I don't know.
It's here. It's here. So it grew to by 1,600%.
Okay,
So if you,
Or divide by that.
okay.
that's the total right now. It has been higher. I think it was up to 90,000 at its peak. It went down. But yeah, And so if you wanted to get the original investments, you'd have to add up like these.
I'm surprised it doesn't just do that.
Yeah, but it's for each company. Like here's a statement. I'll pass this around. Here's a statement, historic statement from 2002. So it's the same thing, but dated 2002, and the total amount of money is $2,300 in total worth.
I didn't
Profit
No, just the total value of my portfolio, this portfolio, in 2002 was $2,353. So I haven't touched it since 2001. So it's just a little statement. That's a pretty close approximation. I probably invested around $2,000, 25, no more than 3,000, I would say. Something like that, 2,000, 2,500.
That's what it's worth then, so it's not what you spend.
Okay, so we can say that you invest 2,000 and you earn 14 times of your money.
Something like that, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, very good.
Yeah,
And-
maybe you want to
No, I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like, by the way, this is a gift because this is a taboo topic. Have you ever had a discussion like this in your entire life with anybody?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Like, I haven't. Like, money was a forbidden topic, like religion and politics.
Well, this is why I brought up straight away with her. It's a power move to bring up.
Religion and politics are fine, it's money that's the one that you don't want to talk about.
But I mean, if somebody had showed this to me when I was a student, I would have been happy. Like, oh, okay. I would have been thinking, oh, wow, I really have to get into this. And you can, Liam. You're a poor.
Yeah, I just need
You're a
money.
poor Welsh. Yeah, but you're about to finish. You're about to get a job.
Oh yeah, well then I'll have money.
But
You
should
can
learn how
save-
to keep your money.
What?
You should learn how to keep your money. Don't order food every day.
Oh, I saved money. The problem is all the money I've saved was to get out my overdraft, so they never made me pay for it, and also so I can move, and live before I get rent or wage.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just I can't spend that money. Well,
Yeah,
I could
you-
spend
you-
that money, but it'd
yeah.
be counterintuitive.
Your life is about to change. That's the thing. You're about to go from student to career professional, and then you will have more capacity for savings
Yeah.
and the possibility of
I was
investing.
just saying that you said there was no money when you were a student, and then it was $1,500.
That's right. Well, I'll tell you something that was different about me and an average British student. I started working when I was age 13. So I started
I
saving
avoided work.
at age 13. And so by the time I was a master's student, I had some savings. I had more than 2,500 in savings. I didn't spend all of my savings on stocks. So that's a difference. I was working I had like 25 jobs
Yeah.
in my
That's
in my
all I was
lifetime.
arguing. That
Yeah.
$500 isn't something that people.
It is
Invest.
not, but if you work part-time, it's not a lot of money. Like
In a
you,
year's time, if you get a job in a year's time, £500 wouldn't be that much.
Yeah, no.
yeah, like your cash salary is quite good. Like you could use some of your cash salary, save 10%, and invest
The
that.
cash salary is only for research. We don't use it for
Yeah.
anything
No,
else.
it's just it's a fun.
And I was using I had something like a cash salary when I was a master's student. So I was taking some of that, saving that, and investing some of that. So, but I was a poor student. I was not a rich student. I had student debt. Well, not really. but I you know, I have debt right now. I have
Yeah.
house debt, and I'm not going to let that prevent me from investing.
Well, your house debt is, what is it, if your mortgage now would be 2% if you got a good one, and you're getting 1,000% there, so it's a case of, well, you're better off not paying for the house and then keeping money in savings, really, isn't it?
There's a chapter on housing in Rich Dad Poor Dad that I highly, you know, as you know, I'm a big fan of this book.
But I would say your portfolio hasn't probably peaked. I would say it's probably time to
sell everything.
some of them at least. I would say eBay is probably on downslope. Cisco and Oracle, they're probably just fairly standard. They're probably like more general ones you keep on going. AT&T, well, that's a tough one. But I mean, they're down in minutes.
4 shares.
Yeah, I don't think that will go any higher. I think it could go lower. I don't know how long.
I've lost money on
Yeah.
those two.
In terms of the market, I mean,
Dell might be okay.
they've got nowhere to go, and cord cutting, people are getting rid of.
Yeah.
I'd keep Dell.
I'd keep Dell. I don't know if I'd keep AT&T.
Well, my strategy is not going to change.
Let's leave it.
I'm going to leave it for another 20 years,
Yeah.
just like this. And some of them are going to lose,
Yeah.
and some of them aren't. That's the rich dad mentality. That's kind of the rich dad mentality.
Yeah, not afraid to lose them.
Not afraid to lose some. You know, yeah.
The only thing would be though to reinvest part of it. Like that's the only thing that I think is
Yeah.
missing.
That's good.
Yes, that's what I want to fix this year. This is my New Year's resolution, to get back in the game. Like,
But-
that's one of the
Well,
reasons
you
why I
can't
have-
reinvest unless you lose some of those.
Well, like if you have more savings, you can.
Yeah, I'm going to use some of my savings,
But why
which
not
is,
Reinvesting though?
No,
Or
well,
is that
not
just
really,
reinvesting?
not really.
You're right.
it's going down, like my savings is shrinking. I'm putting money in my savings, it's still shrinking.
What are you thinking of? Like, what are you thinking of doing? Like this, or are you thinking of going to other types of investments, or?
I want to invest in renewable energy. That's one of my things that I really want to invest in. And I also want to invest in, if it is possible, I'm going to be looking for vegan-oriented investments as well.
I think you could.
So,
Well, I don't know how if you
very
can
ethically
invest in
motivated.
sous vide, but like just cooking is, I think, is the next technology that's going to be.
Yeah.
Stuff like the meating wood is.
Yeah. And I'll be looking, maybe I will try some of this cryptocurrency stuff, maybe.
The kind of that bubble burst, so maybe it's time to get in.
The only one.
Well, I
Tech,
don't know
I
about-
will keep tech on my radar. Maybe I'll do some more tech.
The thing about cryptocurrencies is there are some good companies, there are some good ideas, but it's such a speculative environment. Like the stock market is a conservative one compared to the Bitcoin one or
Very volatile.
cryptocurrency. It's not just volatile; it's just people don't know what they're doing. I mean, they just show.
That's why it's one.
Yeah, no, but it's also like the nature of the thing itself, in part, that contributes to the fact that it's not stable. But it's also the fact that after the Bitcoin exploded, people started putting blockchain in the name of their publicly traded company, and they all went up. So you had like, I don't know, Herald stolen paper blockchain, and that went up. Like, it's true, and you have all these things like.
Conducted it, wasn't it? And, I think it was Tropicana, the juice or
Yeah,
something.
just
They
put
wrote blockchain and it skyrocketed.
All become, and then you have all these like coin offerings, which
Yeah.
are bollocks. Like that
Yeah.
company that raised $1 billion with coins that said, "I owe you nothing." Literally, that's what the coin said. Like, I'll give you a coin that doesn't mean anything. The Dogecoin, the Trump coin, also worth millions. Which, yeah, and they don't mean anything.
Anyways, we're gonna hopefully bring this topic up every once in a while in the group, and just if anybody has any experiments or any experiences they want to share.
I have
Like
so many
Rich's
things.
talk was totally awesome last week. That was totally awesome. I thought it was great. And I think we've all had some experiences with money, unhappy ones and like maybe even some happy ones and stuff like
I
that.
just think
This is a good experiment, though. This is a rich dad experiment that I think went well. That's my opinion, and I want to try it again with you know, today, like, well, this year it's one of my New Year's resolutions to get back in to the game, because I've just bought it and forgot about it and have been changed back into the poor dad mentality of focus on your career, and then, like, that's the best way to go. There's a big discussion of that in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and of debt, and of housing, student loans, and all these sorts of things. So it's a great book to read, you know.
I just want to share something. Like,
Okay.
what's going on
Yeah.
in Turkey? I don't know.
If you want my copy,
Here.
I'll give you.
But people buy
I learned a
gold
lot on stuff.
Yep.
because I-
and then they invest for like the other currencies, like euro and dollar or something like
I
that.
just I didn't make
And it's not, it's a little bit risky because
You can't
when
invest.
Trump talks, it's just increasing.
That makes sense.
When he tweets,
You're stopped from
exactly.
he
investing.
sends
You
one
need to know-
tweet.
Yeah, you need to know when you buy, when you sell,
Yeah.
otherwise like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, like, I understand the mentality that he was talking about.
As long as you can
So don't-
live out it, I mean, say if you bought at X price and it goes down, as long as you can wait, because like gold
Well,
and down,
it's
gold
like
goes up
pounds.
and down, it's always going to come back to X. So if you could
So
kind of wait
invest.
For me,
long enough, not without using the money like you did, really, I mean, if
Yeah.
you lost that,
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been a big loss.
but
This is not showing the ups and downs. There have
No.
been massive ups and
Like
downs.
since over 20 years
Yeah.
though, it's
Yeah.
always gone up.
But that's the thing, at one point
Yeah.
the bank account
And
was
the other
saving a lot of
thing,
money.
if you have enough money, you can buy some fields,
Yeah, land is good
It's
investment
very good,
actually.
and for long term,
So
or house.
go against the line.
But house is
Yeah.
a little bit risky because
That's what
after
we
some
did.
years you need to
And that's what I
like
started
Yeah.
doing.
repair it.
Since
Land
Since I
in the
started
UK
PhD.
has extra
First
benefits
2 years, I used to
is
get out.
that you don't have to pay any
First
death
year.
duties on it.
Get out of like,
Yeah, what
sit in
about
that door.
like
Student debt, not in terms of student loans, just personal account debt.
Yeah, see, I don't know.
Oh, that's funny.
you pay tax.
Income.
Is it high?
And you get
First year,
20%. Well,
I
Percent of what?
spent about 600
Uh,
Normal
pounds.
so what are you talking about? In terms of
Okay,
land?
you-
Oh,
you
stamp
bought-
duty, land duty on land.
Percent,
It's not that much, I think. I'm
You
not
shouldn't
sure.
really save anything first year.
It's not too much.
It's only
I'm not
save
sure if there's
that.
any actually.
And third year,
But,
save that funds to
If,
live
say you had
first
1,000 hectares,
until I hit.
yeah. It's quite big. And you
yeah,
spend
I
that
that's
much
thinking
money,
about it, I
yeah.
just make it round numbers. And
Saved that.
you died,
Move
so then your children will get the investment. Well, say we have one, I might make it easy.
Yeah,
If that
exactly. So I
was-
can't
say you've
afford
got same value in houses,
spend it.
they would have to pay
Well, my
a
theory
tax.
is this. I want an
That's
emergency
duties
fund which is
basically.
between
We're at, I think it's like
liquid
25%.
just cash.
So 25% of the
And
house
then everything else.
is kind of gone.
So
The
right
land
now
is a no
I'm saving
tax.
about 1,500 a month.
What
You
currently
need to
is
find
Yeah.
which land is good for long term.
Anybody have any
Being conservative.
opinions?
And so,
Anything else?
Also,
oh, we were just discussing.
Also a vegan restaurant.
Yeah.
So I say, okay, I'm going to go to
There's some vegan restaurants have been in Garden
Now I have
Swansea as well,
like
so.
500.
it's
Oh,
this-
that's a good
So I
idea.
said I'll put another 500 there, and then 1,000 in the
That's
bank.
a different topic.
So I take out my big expense, subtract something by C and do third aid. That's my strategy. Third aid invest in commodities, and then third aid invest in funds. Stocks I haven't doubled. I feel that stocks should come out of my disposable my saving income.
I would like to set up something where I have an automatic payment into some fund.
That's what I have.
That's what I would like automatic £1,000 a month or something like that. 500? That's a lot. That's amazing. That's what I would like to do something.
Well, getting to the summit, I'ma take a sip on the rare old mountain dew. I did it, I'm
Like you're not, you're an RA, so you
My RA paid 29 something. Well, with tax, I was like 2,000 a month from the, and then I get the salary